Yeah, hi everyone. In this session, we're going to start our Angular revision sessions. Okay, so in this sessions, we'll add your experience also. We almost completed all the syllabus and the content. If you have still any questions, any doubts on any topic, so it will be fulfill our questions. Okay, so we'll add one by one we our experience. Maybe few members, 1 or 2 members can be add now. So in the few, I mean, next sessions also you can able to add. So recently, Ram got his success. So let him to add the first.
Yes,
Yeah, Ram,
before
go ahead.
yes, before getting into this training, so I did not know anything about that. And, I just have a little bit experience regarding to JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and I thought, okay, Angular is too tough to learn, and because it's completely based on framework coding. So I decided. So actually, I called to Chaitanya Anna for support, and he guided me. So regarding to the support, you better learn how to know what better you have to learn and get the knowledge regarding to that. So then you no need to get the support from later. And I thought, okay, then I spent my time with Chaitanya. So then I got a lot of I learned so many things from him regarding to the subject. And then luckily I got the job, and before the before completing the course, that gives very much happiness to me. Yes. Now I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
It's without
So
support.
Ram came for the different purpose. So he has the some gap between the completion of education and to be get the job. I mean, he was planning for the get into a job in the software. Earlier he working in the some sales oriented different domain. So later I just motivated him join for the sessions within 1 or 2 weeks. He will get a confident. So after 1 or 2 months, you definitely get a job. Now he got a job and he is the very person now into the software company with a very good package. Uh, yeah. Any others to be add? Your experience, please.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chana Reddy.
Yeah, so I'm Janna Reddy. So I'm having 7 years experience in software industry. So presently, everyone looking like the market is like full stack development. So I'm aware of only jQuery, little bit of HTML. So I thought of learn Angular. So everyone is asking Angular earlier. So previously, like Angular JS, when Angular released about Angular JS, so by using that experience, so I thought I can learn Angular also. So I joined before this course. I joined some other uh, like uh, uh, course, but that is not helpful much. So and again, with the help of someone, so I joined here, and then uh, this is this course is helpful for some basic kind of to some moderate kind of thing. So now I'm preparing, so I can easily have confidence. I can easily crack the interview, and it is helpful. And the good thing is like the material. So anytime we can revise the material, and you can uh, get the interview kind of things. Like it will helpful for interviews, and we can also gain some practical experience also from this course. That's it.
Yeah, thanks, Chana Reddy. So then Chana Reddy came for he already working in the industry, has the good experience in different technologies. So he wants to explore the angle. Earlier, he came my session before session. He's saying that one already having that one, but still I'm going to be looking. At that time, I said so not to him, his friend. So you are know the angler also. If you know the 100 also, I will show the 101 concept. If you know already know it, it will make you to be perfect. So he joined. Now he's saying that he has the good confidence over the things, but try to complete that project. So then you will get a more confident. If you want to add 1 or 2 projects also, that is the very good thing. Okay, so learning the 200 concept, I'm saying to everyone, learning the 200, 300 concept, install that one, be perfect on 150 itself. So these 150 remaining are simply. On the top of these concepts only, few features are plus, few features are minus, that's it. So now Shanadi, can I take it as a, I mean, now you not required any other course again to be joined, now you're perfect, right? So next he added the point for the material. Yes, I will give the direct live material. Okay, it will helpful for you career to be learn or practice subject only once time, not for the multiple. Still there can be concept, you be perfect here, you will get a more concepts. That is the add-on point. So on the team, whoever is attending the interview now with your experience, so please share the questions. I will share to the students, our students. Yeah.
Krishna sir, you have given almost, all everything, like most of the things in the notes, according to me.
Yeah, Umesh, you are having the, I know that you are the one of the senior guy out of all our students, I know. So
Yeah, you are handling very, it's very good, like, and definitely we got a lots of help from you, and we learn better, Angular with you, and you have covered almost, good all the good topics for this Angular also.
yeah, Umesh.
So
So Umesh
definitely,
point of view means it will be helpful for the whoever have that 10 plus of years experience
yeah,
also,
yeah,
correct?
definitely.
So he has
If
a good, very
if
good.
yeah, if the everyone will, do little practice, then definitely they can crack the interview Angular.
Okay, Umesh. Okay, let us start the session. So in between and tomorrow and day after also we'll be having your thoughts here also. Anybody wants to add? We'll have 1 more minute to add. Okay. So let us revise the subject. We're started with the, what is a class? So our Angular is driving by using the class architecture. Yes or no? Everything is a class or not? Every file is the class. If you take a component as a class, directive is a class, service is a class, everything is a class. What is mean by class? A class is a simply user defined data type which contains the properties and fields. A default class will contain a constructor. On the top of the class, you are going to be decorate now. By using the decorator, class will be converted as a component, class will be converted as a directive, class will be converted as a module, class will be converted as a service. What else? All these things. So let me open our solution. Okay, each component, each file is a class. So how a class is going to be converted to specific files? By decorator. So how many types of decorator? We're having the different purposes. Each one is the one decorator we have. Each purpose we're having the multiple decorators. Where to be right on the top of a class. So a decorator contain three parameters. If I take a component, I mean not all decorators, decorator contain a parameters. So a component contain the selector, template URL, styles URL. Okay, so what is a template and template URL? Template URL is nothing but if you want to write a HTML separately at the time, this code will be rendered here. The template URL will be rendered your HTML. So instead of creating separate HTML, if you want to write means at the time you need to use the template. Okay, what is the purpose of a selector? If you want to use this component to be called in another component, this selector will be used. Okay, calling a component inside of another component. Style URLs is the collection of an array, so where you can able to pass multiple style files. Next. Okay, So here we are seeing about a constructor and constructor types are there. So parameterized and parameterless constructor. These constructors are enough in a Angular. You are having a multiple constructors. For example, static constructor, copy constructors. Okay. Next. So how to define a values? By creating export class name. Here you are going to be create and declaring the values. There is a one more way. What is the second way? Either inside of a constructor or directly creating the values. This is the second way to create a class with properties. Next, the purpose of this keyword, it will use for the current instance. Here you are using this dot id. This is nothing but a creating object. So a class, here I'm a class contains the id. Can I use the id directly? The id is equal to 0 means which id? This class id. So can I create object? Yes, I need to create object. Creating object inside of a same class is correct means no. In that purpose, we're having a coding wise called this keyword. This dot id is equal to 0. Next, how to create object? By using a new keyword. By using a new keyword. Next, data types. We're having the data types now. What are the data types are there in the JavaScript? Same data types will be applied for the Angular also. How many types of data types are there? Yes, two types. Unmute yourself, answer. What are those?
Number,
Primitive,
Primitive.
non-primitive. Primitive means value type, non-primitive is the reference type.
object,
Character, number. What is the next one? Character,
Boolean.
number, boolean commander, primitive. Non-primitive means string, array, object, class. All this will be commander, non-primitive. We have seen earlier. Next. So string is a collection of the data. Char means simple, one character. Number means you are going to be defining number. So what is the syntax to define a number? Syntax to define in general in JavaScript, let id is equal to 0. Based on the assigned data, this will become a number. But in a TypeScript, how to define a number? id colon number is equal to 0. This is the way you need to be define a data type, any type of the data. Number, character, boolean. Next, coming to the non-primitive, our important one is the first one is the string. A string is nothing but a series of character. So string contain the predefined functions and properties. String contain only one property. What is that one? Length property. And functions? .to upper, .to lower. What else? Substring. So all these were the string functions. Next one is the object. What is mean by object? Next data type is the object. Object means it will specifically define an item. Object is nothing but it will specifically define. And for example, if you want to talk with a person, so person means person contain ID, name and gender. So you are going to be specifically talking about a person is nothing but a object. If you want to specifically talking an element, if you want to specifically talking an payment component, payment ID, transaction number, payment date to time, all these things. So for example, you are purchasing an item. Item purchasing means item name, item description, item cost, so and so availability, all that. This is nothing but an object. So how to represent an object? How many ways to represent object? Tell me. Obj object is equal to two ways. First one is the literal way. Second one is the object way. Literal is nothing but a simply curly braces. For example, id colon 1. This is the way created. What is the next way? You can able to create by using a new keyword, new object. Which one to be used? By using creating the new is very costly. So instead of using the new, you can able to create an object directly by using a literal. Okay, this is the literal. So combination of new object is the object way. But in a JavaScript, coming to the memory management, you can able to create a new object, new array. It can be fine. So why were using restriction the new keyword? So you are going to create an object for this object. There can be chance to update this object. Parameters can be changed, constructor values can be changed, but object point of array point of it cannot be changed. Correct? For example, you are creating a class. The class contain a 0 constructor parameter. For example, tomorrow you are adding, you need to change or not? Yes or no? Okay. So this is the way. Which one is the best? Means go with the literal way instead of going with object way. Next. What are the functions? Do you have any specific properties and functions from the object? This dot obj dot. So do you have specific functions from the object? Means you don't have any specific functions. Okay, for example, dot toStrings me to output will be object. So object point of view, properties are nothing but the properties which you created, na, those properties dot id. We're creating id, so this id will be become this id. Okay, so id is the property you can able to consume directly. Okay, next important one is the array. What is mean by array?
Collection of similar data.
Yeah. So what is the purpose of an array? What is mean by array? Collection of
Similar data types.
so collection of similar data types. In general, in terms of JavaScript, array is collection of similar or no? So in terms of JavaScript, it is a collection of items. So in terms of TypeScript, here you are having the type safety. The purpose of a TypeScript is so the difference between the JavaScript and the TypeScript. JavaScript is a dynamically typed programming language. Correct? TypeScript is a typed programming language. Next, TypeScript will be support. You are from a .NET and Java, you are easily understand. You are having a class structure, you are having a constructor, everything. Okay, so it is following the object oriented principles. Next, it is the typed one. So it is a collection of similar elements. So how many ways to create a collection? 2 ways, literal. Second way is object. Which one to be used? Always use the literal. So literal is nothing but a simply these values are wrapped inside of a square braces. Square braces for the array, curly braces for a object. Remember that point. Next, array contains properties and functions. What are those?
Array length of array.
Array contains first a property called a length. Length is the only one property. Next, array means you are going to be have functions. How to? So how to add a data to an array? How many ways to add? Push. Unshift. Splice. So there is a 3 ways to add. Push means it will add a last. Unshift means it will add the data at always a first. Splice means at a specific position. Correct? After a specific position you want to add, you can able to use. Next, how many ways to update the data?
3. Pop, shift.
Not a deleting. I'm asking about update. Either by using the index or else splice. Okay. Next, how many ways to delete an array item? 3 ways. Pop, shift, splice. Specific item to be deleted. Okay. This is about a array functions to be added. What else other than this one? Array functions are there. So what is the use of for each? It will loop through the elements. Next, map. Map is same as a for each, but map will return the data. Next, filter. Used to find a data based on a certain condition. So collection of the data. Find.
First find.
So first find will return the first matched record. Find index. It will return
Index.
First matched record index. So like this, we are having a peak. Sometimes you are having the SOM sum. Every each. Sum means at least one condition is true. Next, so next we seen about a star ngFor. Star ngFor is nothing but a part of a structural directive. It will helpful for binding the array data. Structural directive star ngFor used to bind the array data. So these are the way we have created a data binded the array. This array is nothing but a collection of the user information. Okay. So in general, JavaScript contain functions. What is mean by function? Function is the logical unit. And how many types of functions? Tell me.
E2.
Defined function, parameterized function. If a function returns some data, returnable function. Function without a name called anonymous function up to ES5. In the ES6, anonymous functions are represented as arrow functions. In arrow function, if you want to return a data without return key, there is a one variation. Next, a function is calling from another function is passed as input parameter to another function is called callback function. Next one is the self-invoking function or immediately invoking function. IIF. A function is called by itself, but as per Angular application, that self-invoking function is not. Generator function, it's a specific condition. Instead of executing all the code blocks, specific condition, specific data will be executed. Okay, so these are the syntaxes we have seen. Function. So anybody have any questions on these functions? So next, so what are the input controls? Input controls means user will be provided the input. Those type of the controls are input controls. What are those? Text, email, password, number, all these are come under a input controls. So next topic is the data binding. So how many types of data bindings are there?
Interpolation.
No, in general. Two types. What are those? One-way data binding, two-way data binding. Again, one-way data binding is categorized as two types. What are those?
Parent to child.
Model.
One-way data. Come on. What are the?
Attribute binding.
No. Yes, attribute binding. These will become. Again, there is a category called. So have this point. A data binding is categorized into the two ways, two types. First one is the one way, second one is the two way. One way data binding is nothing but a component to view and view to
View
component.
and view to component.
So component to view means, now tell me,
Parent to child.
parent to child is the concept of data passing. It is the nested components. Okay. So data binding means that will be not come here. So component to view is nothing but a interpolation or string data binding. Next, style binding. How to bind the style? Ng class or ng style. Next, property binding. Next, interpolation. If you want, you can able to take all these points. We're revising subject and going one by one. Take these points if you want. Running nodes. Now clear. Next, view to component. Which binding? Event binding.
Event binding.
Only event binding. Only one binding. After 4 bindings in component view, 1 binding in view. Next, two-way data binding is. So how to implement two-way data binding?
NG model.
By using the two-way data binding implemented by the NG model. It is nothing but a combination of property and
Property
event
binding,
binding.
event binding.
Correct. Next, we are going to be dealing with component to view and then view to component, direct bind. Okay, so how to implement NG two-way data binding? First, you need to be import forms module in app.module.ts file. Where to import? Go to the file called app.module.ts file. So if you're using the two-way data binding, what type of the forms you are going to be developed? Forms are two types. What are those?
Template
and React. If you use the two-way data binding, you are going to be develop a concept called template driven forms. Okay, template driven forms. So these are the data bindings. Clear? Next. So how to create a JSON server? JSON server is nothing but as you practice the Angular, you are going to create a JSON server. So in the real time, you are going to be having which type of the servers means directly .NET, Java, Python. These servers will be there. So service people will be exposed. Okay. But you to be practice, you need to be go with the JSON server. It is a simple straightforward. Okay. What is the difference between var, let, and constant, which is one of the important interview questions?
Constant only one time it value will not be changed.
Hoisting.
Var means var will be support the hoisting means you can able to assign the data and then clear the create a variable. Nothing but give the job first, later will clear the interview. But first you need to clear the interview, then only you need to get the job. That is the correct process. So that's why to handle this hoisting, to avoid this hoisting, we're having the let and the constant. Hoisting means you can able to access a variable and assign before variable or a function is created. Can I consume a function before function is created? Yes, you can able to consume. In the next line you can able to create a function. It is supported. So in a JavaScript, var and the function will be supported hoisting. Let and constant will not be supported. Constant means if you want to define a constant values. Okay, next, what is the fetch function? Fetch is a JavaScript promised based function to get the data. So fetch means it will is expecting URL and options. So if you want to explain about what is mean by promise means, even though, tell me the definition of promise.
Even subscriber is
So
not
even
there,
though
then also
subscribers
keep
are
off.
there or not, if you call that promise functions, it will execute. Whoever is missed that promise session, please go and watch that one. So to handle that case, we are having a concept of observable and subscribe, nothing but a broadcasting. The concept of broadcasting in RxJS, we are using that one. Okay, so what are the HTTP action methods?
Get, push,
Get,
post, and delete,
put,
patch.
post, put, patch, delete. What is the difference between all these? Get means you want to get the data. Post means you want to save the data, but content should be post inside of your body. Body is an attribute of header in a post method. Next, what type of the data? This is the data. Put means if you want to update a specific part of application data, you need to be use the put method. Okay. Next, patch also is for the process of update only. Next, delete if you want to delete the data. But real time, are you going to delete a data in the real time?
No.
No. Why so? Compliance issues.
File.
For example, you leave the company. Can I delete your data? No. So you are not active employee, but you are one of the employee. Okay. So this patch function contain how many anonymous functions? How many functions? 2. What are those? Success and failure. Success and failure. Next, what are the core component of Angular? Core components of Angular:
data binding,
module,
services,
component, data binding, services, directives, pipes. These are the core components. So every day in your as an Angular developer, if you want to develop any application, you need to follow all these concepts. Without this concept, you can't able to implement any feature. That's why these are come under core components. We have a few others core concepts. What are the core components of HTML? Elements, tag, attributes. What is a schematic element and non-schematic element? Schematic means element is defined for a specific purpose. For example, table is the specific. If I take a div is the specific. No. Header is the specific one. Footer is the specific one. So like this, if I say paragraph, so the elements which
Yes.
are defined about the specific in a purpose called schematic. Non-schematic means general element. Label, what type of data? General data. Okay. Div, you can able to either represent a table inside of a div also. So here we are having the data binding types. So component of view, one way, component of view to component, two way, by using the forms module. Next one is the, so other than in the data types, do you have any two separate types? Mean JavaScript, there is a two more categories called in a JavaScript. How you can able to recognize a type? For example, a variable is there in a JavaScript. How you can able to say this variable is the so and so type?
Type of.
Either you can able to check the type of, or else let a is equal to 10, a will be a number. If I say let a is equal to null, then it is a nullable. So coming to the JavaScript, you are having the specifically two more types. So because assigning the data will be decided data type of your JavaScript variable. So there is a two more types, null and undefined. If you not assign any value, default created variables value is the undefined. Default created, if a variable is created, I created a variable. What is the type? Let is x is equal x. Let x type of x.
Undefined.
Or else I want to print x. Console.log of x. Undefined. Why so? You are not assigned the data. Unassigned variables data type will be the undefined. So but this undefined null is not a specific data type, it is the specifical to the JavaScript. Why so? JavaScript is defined based on the type of the data to be assigned. Remember this point. This is the important one. Okay, anybody ask any type means give me the primitive, non-primitive. Again you will say at the end. So there may be types called null and undefined. Null is nothing but a, if you assign the null, for example, I want to take a decision, true or false, but still I have not taken the decision means null. Null means nothing. If I say false means you have taken decision, it is a false decision. Okay, remember that one. Next, TypeScript means strongly typed data types. Next, TypeScript will be support the object-oriented principle. Who developed this TypeScript? Microsoft. TypeScript is from the Microsoft. Next, one of the feature in the ECMAScript 6 is the, I mean, we're having the number of features, the class feature. Next, let a constant. If anybody asking about the features of ECMAScript, add this one. Constant, let, next, class, next, spread operator, next. What else? Yes, 6 features. So we're having a few other features like that. Okay. What is the purpose of spread operator?
Or
Copying a
copying
a variable to another variable. So what type of data you want to copy? Either object or array. Okay. So why so? For example, I'm having the letter obj is equal to obj, and what will happen? Instead of data is copying, it will copy the reference. It will copy the reference array address. So once you change the obj1 also will be changed. To avoid that one, we need to be use the spread operator. So how many ways to copy the data? One object to another object, or else one array to another array. First one is a spread. Next,
assign is there.
Object.assign. Next,
Assign.
JSON.parse or JSON.stringifier. Next, array.slice. 4 ways. Not only 4 ways, we can able to add. So either ways are there. Object.assign, JSON.parse, JSON.stringify and then parse. Spread operator. If it is array contain the slice. Slice will be defined. It will clone your existing array and create a new array. So slice also you can able to use in your project. You can see the slice also. Okay. So these are the ways we have seen. Next, nested component. What is mean by what is the component? Tell me. What is a module? A module is a features. Modules are the features in your application. Nothing but a module is the building block of Angular application. Components are the building units of your, or else building modules are, I mean, a module contain a components. Components are building units or building blocks of your components. Sorry, your modules. Why so? So a large application is treated as a module. Module contain a components. Why so? We need to be maintained easily. Code reusability. Okay, splitting the responsibility to achieve this one. So how can I able to call a a component inside of another component? By using a child component selector. Inside of the child, you are going to be having a selector na, by using that one. So this is the concept of nested component, calling a component inside of another component. So in this nesting components, how many ways to pass a data from one component to another component? How many ways? Input output. Next,
Input output. Yes.
view child by creating a template reference variable and view child. Next, RxJS.
Yes.
So when we will use the RxJS subject and observable pattern, when you are having a components are not a parent and child, even parent and child also you can able to use this one. Yeah. Yes, unmute yourself, everyone. I know everybody is knowing that one. So take it as this one is an interview. Now unmute yourself and answer the things. Yes, tell me how many ways to passing a data from a parent to component?
Input output in the future.
View child.
Yes.
Input
Okay.
from parent
So
to
input
child
is from parent to
parent to child,
child. Output
Parent
is
to
from
child.
child to
parent.
parent. Output with the event emitter. So if you are passing the data from parent to the child, where can able to, which function is responsible for collecting the data? If I pass the data from parent to child, data will become, yes, Android will become. For example, if I change some value in a parent, how to collect in a child? By using,
ng on change
yes, by using ng on changes.
change.
Yeah, Chana Reddy, unmute yourself, everyone. 335. Next, child to parent,
Output
output
event emitter.
with event
Using
emitter.
emitter.
Okay, by using the function called emitter. By in RxJS, tell me
Subject and
the
view.
subject observable pattern. How to deal? Give me the syntax. How to achieve steps?
Import.
No import. What to be import first? Create a separate service file. There you need to be import. First step you need to be create a service. Next you need to import subject from RxJS. Next create a variable. This RxJS subject contain a method called next. How many methods of I mean subject, next, complete and error. Complete for completing the data. If you are having the handle the error, you need to use the error function. Next is the method. It will be notified to the subscribers.
Subscriber.
Next you need to be subscribed. Now tell me what are the steps?
Create a service
Create a service.
Service.
and import the
Import
subject from RxJS
subject.
Yes.
and
Declare the variable.
methods like
Yes.
next.
Create a variable. Create this variable
Variable.
contain a next method. It will notify the subscriber. How to create a subscriber? How to create a subscriber?
You need to
Go to the specific component. Okay. Import that service.
import
This
the
dot service name dot
That variable dollar
variable name dot subscribe. Okay. So that is the way. So how to deal with view child to pass the data from parent to child? How what are the steps? I want to pass a data or else call a function in a child component, or else I want to make a focus an element in a child component. How to achieve the situations? If you want to deal with the view child, first
So
create
HTML
a,
We need to
and
declare the
go to the
create a
HTML
template
file,
of-
create a template reference
Template.
variable. Next,
variable.
for that reference variable, create a view child in a component. That's it. This dot variable name dot, the child will be there. Whatever you want to do, you can do.
If it is the element, native element,
Yes, if it is the element to be consumed, simple input element means element reference. If it is a component, the type of view child is nothing but a component. At the rate view child braces variable name under type of component is equal. Like this, you need to be give the reference. Next, hope you people know now how to create a component from a scratch. Yes. What is mean by decorator? Now I'm already explained. Again, I'm asking question. What is mean by decorator?
Convert class into
Specific
components
type.
module.
So decorator
Yeah.
will add the meta information. So definition wise, you need to be tell. Decorator will add the meta information to class file and it will
Class.
convert your specific class to a type. The type can be a component, module.
Release.
What are the decorators? At the rate component,
generate module,
at the rate ng module. Tell me.
At the rate
Data injectable.
injectable.
At the rate injectable. What else? At the rate directive. Okay. Next. So hope you know what is the difference template and a template URL. Next, these are the HTTP action methods. Okay. So in a JavaScript, we're having a conditional statements. What is mean by conditional statements?
If and
Switch
switch.
based on the condition.
Based on what are the conditional statement inside of Angular? Specific conditional statement is there in Angular?
Star and
Star
Mm.
and if. Okay. See here, if else will be executed based on a condition. Switch will be executed based on expression. Remember that point. Okay. So these are the syntaxes. Next. So in the string functions, two upper, two lower, same like that, we're having a function called a trim. Trim is the purpose of trim the
right.
left and right side space of a text.
Extra spaces.
Extra space. Next. So what are the iterative loops? What is the purpose of a loop? Loop is used to
iterate through
So
the
iterate to
array.
all the information and if you want to perform something. What are the
for loop,
for loop?
while loop,
While, do while loop, these are the loops. In the for, how many variations are there? For you are having the variation. What are the variations? First variation one, this is the one variation where you can able to create a variable based on a condition. You can able to loop through the values. Next variation. So you are going to loop through the data. So if you want to loop through the data, you need to deal with the collection of the data. So how many types of collections are
4
there?
and 4 each.
So how many types of collections are there? What are the collection data types? Collection data types.
Array
Array
list.
and object. Object is a
Object.
collection, but it is a specific to an element. So for each user to loop through the collection of the element. So either the collection, if you have the specific collection, or else based on a condition also. This is the conditional based looping. So I want to loop through array elements.
4 each.
For each, tell me the syntax.
For each, then the dot array.
That is the array. For each, for the array. Okay. Specifically,
Each
yes.
variable
For let
Star in
RNG plus structural directory, it will loop through array elements. What is the syntax? You know the answer,
Let
but
I-
I'm asking in the reverse way.
let item of
Correct. One is the conditional based. Next one is the let item of. Next one more variation. For example, I want to deal with an object. At that time, let item in object. Okay. Three variation. One is the conditional based. Second one is the array based. Third one is the object based. Okay. So in this conditional base, what to be add? Simple condition. Next, array means let item of, object means let item in. Okay, remember those points. Okay, see here for off loop. Next, for in loop. For each is specifically for each is specifically for array elements to be loop.
array.
For each. Okay, array dot for each. So these for each map filter find index from all these functions we have discussed some time back. Okay. Next. So here you are having the functions now. What are the common parameters of a function? All these functions having the only one common parameters. What are the first parameter? Tell me how many parameters a function will be take for each map or filter or find index. These functions will be take how many parameters are as input?
One is the item index.
One is the item. One is the index. Next.
Condition.
Next is the no condition array.
Complete array.
Parameters are all these functions having the three input parameters. First one is the current item, second one is index, third one is the actual array data. Okay. For example, for each filter, I want to define a filter. First one I need to be pass. Condition is ultimately right inside of the body. First parameter is the item. Second parameter is the index. Third parameter is the actual array. Remember this one. All array functions having the three parameters. Item, index. Okay, and your array. These are the three parameters. Next. Is that clear?
Yes.
So anybody having the questions as of now what we have discussed? JavaScript data types, JavaScript functions we have discussed. Next, Angular basics, core components of Angular. We have discussed about the components, nested components. Next, arrays, array methods, array functions. Okay. So do one thing, try to complete whatever we have discussed today. Na? If possible, try to create a separate project and implement. So coming to the project, if I create an Angular project, what are the files it will be create?
4 files.
So Angular contain the predefined files. The first one is the node module. What is the purpose of node modules? Node modules are the libraries which are used for your Angular application to be developed and compile the code. Next, what is the purpose of SRC?
Basically,
SRC is a solution file, solution folder. Next, Angular.json, which contains the information about. Yang, what is the purpose of Angular.json? Tell me.
Keep all this information about the
Information about
Angular
your Angular
the
application. You are having a specific
application.
Angular application. What are the landing pages? What is the root module? Everything will be configured here. Your Angular application specific information. Next one is the package.json, which contains which
Package
contains
And the
information,
versions.
versions and commands to be
packages.
run the application. Next, package log.json, which contains the versions and node module references, which is the log file you should not change. So it is contain the versions and node modules, which contains the commands and versions. Remember those, that is the difference. Readme is the simple. Next, ts config means which contains the
TypeScript
your
related.
TypeScript. Angular use the TypeScript having the type few configuration. These are the TypeScript. Okay, information. What is the purpose of a use strict or a strict mode? What is the user text strict? It is one of the important question. Strict mean?
We need to
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear.
read
Strict means
the variable before using.
so you must declare the variable
Before using.
before assignment. Here if you say the strict means by default Angular, all our Angular and React application use the strict mode. Here you are saying the strict is equal to true. Okay, so like this we are having the source map. What is the purpose of this source map? What is the purpose of source map true? So once you loaded the Angular application, there you can able to see the TS files. In general, browser can load the TS files. No, because a source map true is true. Because that's when your TypeScript files will be still load in a browser and you can able to debug. Otherwise, actually you can't able to do. Got it? Clear? Next, what is why Angular is a single page application?
Index page and on the
So Angular
all
contain
the
only one
components.
HTML page, that is indexed.html. So this HTML page remaining components will be loading. Okay. Next, purpose app is nothing but a root folder which contain the root module is the app model, root component is the app component, root routing is the app routing. These are the root files. Okay, this is about our folder structure. Okay, so tomorrow we'll continue on from the routing. So what are the routing? Feature mod routing and about a module, feature module. Next, pipes, directives, all these concepts will revision tomorrow. So anybody wants any specific topic to me explain, let me know. I will show the code and I will explain. Okay. So in my Angular application, how to add a bootstrap? Bootstrap is the third party library for the style.
CDN
First,
link one.
okay, either you can able to use the CDN link, but in the
Then-
real-time project, it is not alone. It
Yeah,
is
in
not
the
allowed.
style there is a global styles is there. We can have the
Next, you need to use the npm command, npm space I space bootstrap. Next, go to your style.css file. You can able CSS file. You can able to use the @import. These are the two ways. One more way in your real-time project, how you are adding? Is there any other way? Is there any other JSON files to be configured and stuff here? Try for those cases, not only for one or two cases. So this is the way you need to add a bootstrap. Okay. So whatever the things we have discussed now, anybody is having any confusion or questions on any topic, let me know. So that's it for today. We'll revision the continuation on the tomorrow.